17. Jack Peart. Here we go. I don't know. This is one that I'm going to be honest, for me, out of the whole pool, I am least sure of how good or not good Jack Peart might be moving forward.
I wouldn't say whole pool, but I think for sure among the defensemen, I'm kind of in that same boat.
Fair.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like from everything I've kind of read, limited stuff, it doesn't seem like he's maybe like took some big huge step in college either 3 years. So I was almost a little surprised that he had signed after this year and didn't stay the full 4 there. But
well, I'm sure the Wild pressured him pretty heavily.
Yeah, so that's true. Yeah, so I mean, maybe there's something there, but that's just kind of the impression I got from is that it doesn't seem like he's like taken many huge like steps, and I don't think like his offense has like necessarily been exactly what it seemed like it might have been, but he's still got maybe a decent chance of being a player eventually. Who knows?
He's just had such a weird path. Like, I mean, we've talked about him plenty the past couple of years, and he's a guy that did way more than we expected as a freshman, because you go in as a true freshman and start for St. Cloud. That is pretty uncommon, and did a pretty good job with it. And then sophomore year, we saw zero growth. Like, he just kind of didn't show us any extra step. What did you think about his junior year with St. Cloud?
Well, I would say, so yes, freshman year definitely came in, like the fact that he was an 18-year-old freshman at St. Cloud, and like I think he still put up like I think over half a point per game for them. Like even just getting good minutes there at a program like St. Cloud as a freshman is very impressive. I remember specifically having a lot of comments about how negative I was about it, just because he was driving me nuts with how many like stick infractions he was taking like every single night. But sophomore year, with a bigger role, that was the year that he took a major step forward. I think he was close to a point per game. Played really well-rounded game, and like again, like a lot of his points freshman year came from him doing the thing where he was like taking slap shots from the blue line off the backboard, like a fucking like every time. And then sophomore year, he got a pretty nice like bump in terms of responsibilities at both ends of the ice. And I saw a lot of growth there. But like junior year this past year was the one that was like, I don't even know what St. Cloud is anymore. Like they were all over the place. They went on streaks where they would lose like 4 games in a row by like 7. And then all of a sudden they were just like taking out top 10 teams like 5 games in a row. And I didn't know what was going on. And it was kind of the same thing with his game, just in general. He was asked to play a lot more defensive hockey his junior year. So the points suffered majorly. But I feel like at this point, he's kind of become like the forgotten defenseman prospect, where he has some legit upside and he was very well thought of early. And then again, like kind of a victim of them drafting some like pretty high end D-men over the past few years, having a guy like Brock Faber traded for, and then immediately step in the NHL. So like it does feel to me at this point where like he's fallen down the pecking order, but then you remember that he is the pool. And you're like, oh wait, this is actually a very projectable 2-way defenseman. To me at this point, with how many guys they have, I wonder if he becomes a guy that like gets dangled out as trade bait at some point here, because I think he's an NHL defenseman, a very projectable one at that. Really good 2-way game. Love the transition play. Specifically like his ability to break the puck out, like retrieve pucks and then just break the puck out with like that stretch pass that he loves doing. Or he can skate out himself. In his sophomore year, we did see him actually like activate from the blue line. So there is a legit defenseman there. I feel like, again, he just kind of has got lost in the shuffle here. So I wonder if he becomes a guy that like, hey, like he definitely is going to be an NHL defenseman with some legit upside. It probably isn't going to be in Minnesota. Like, what are we going to, like, could we get some kind of package here, just given how many left shot D-men, probably with like a higher upside or higher floor, to be honest with you, than a guy like Jack Peart? Because like I could see a world of possibilities with where he ends up. But I do think he plays games. I think he is an NHL defenseman. Just trying to figure out what his overall impact and what the profile player is. But I thought he played really well in Iowa the few games that he got this year. So
I thought so
still
too.
an intriguing prospect. He just gets lost in the shuffle.
I'm just excited to see like how he fares next year in like a full year up against some of
This
these
is a
like
big year.
up against some of these guys at the Wild that are really projecting to play really well in their like second year on what is going to be a better team than last year. So like I'm super excited to see what like how he faces against some of these like top CHL guys who've again played 1 year at Iowa or coming in, because he definitely has a chance to outplay them and maybe force the Wild to make other decisions in that. Okay, maybe we use this other piece that we thought was going to be projected a lot higher on our back end as that maybe sweetener piece or trade piece, and we keep Peart in the system. And so I think it all depends on next year, but I've always liked his game. I think he's more than what his points definitely show. He's got an awesome two-way base, and you know, even this year when the points took a step back, like Z said, like I thought he played great defensively.
I should say the past 4 years, I've been very excited about the Iowa Wild. I have never been right. Ever. Like, and not just like I haven't been right. It's almost as if every game they get in a huddle, they're like, remember, that dumbass Spoke Z said we were going to be awesome. Fuck him.
This is the year, Z. This is the year.
Let's soak 60 shots against tonight. We'll muster up 12 ourselves. One will go in, and that's fine. Fuck him. That's what it's felt like the last 4 years. So anyways, they could be dog shit again. I have no idea at this point. I'm not going to.
Z's learning what it's like to root for Minnesota sports teams, because that's how it's like cheering for every team every single year.
Yeah, is this what you guys do all the time, dude?
Yeah. For 4 teams. For 4 teams, 365 days a year. We don't have whatever the fuck you have, 13 championships.
Hey, the Celtics finally just we had been waiting for. They were the team that had gone the longest without winning a championship. The last time they won before this year was 2008. So
oh my god,
17 years sooner than 1991. So
how do you make it?
Must be horrible.
It's been hard. It's been a tough couple months before that one.
Why do you think he bought a 30 rack?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's it's great.
UWHL Minnesota won the last championship.
That's
for
true.
us, so.
Our women's teams don't have a problem. Our women's teams are great.
No,
they carry the
Well,
weight.
no, our women's teams have problems.
Our women's team and up until the
on
day
the
they
ice,
won the championship,
on the ice, they have no problems. Off the ice is another story.
Different story. Yeah, I think for me, Peart, he's like if the Wild, the team, were a prospect, they'd beat Jack Peart. Like
that's
could be
very
good.
apt. Yeah.
Like could be great, might be terrible, probably ends up somewhere in the middle. And yeah, so
will the best part of him stay or want to go somewhere else in a year?
Right.
We don't know.
Exactly.
It's crazy too, because I remember his draft year. Like that was pretty. This is exactly how the conversation went with all of my buddies who were tracking. We're like, we like him, right? Like, yeah, no, he's a good player. Like, what's he gonna be? I don't know. He's fucking good though. It's crazy. Like, it's just like stayed the same.
Yeah, I think for him, I think for him the big thing, like I think his path to the NHL is to continue to lean on his skating. Because I think you look at the way the league's trending, it's a skating league. The better you can skate, the better chance you have to make it. And I think, maybe more so than some of the other defense prospects, like where others might have size or offensive flair. Like I think he's probably one of the better skaters that they have in their defense group. So I think if he can continue to lean on that, like that I think that's his path is, can you defend? Can you play in transition? Can you get pucks up the ice with your feet? It doesn't necessarily have to be shut down defending or over the top offense. Like, can you move the puck? Can you use your feet and make that your weapon?
I've said the comp, and I don't really like comps unless like I'm just watching a guy for the 10,000th time. I'm like, it just hits me. The one that hits me every time with him that I feel safer about in terms of his defense is a guy like Sam Girard, where the transition game is like, yep, good, all good. There is some offensive upside there. You don't want to rely on it. But with him, I feel way better about the defensive side of the game. But just in terms of like the undersized, like I don't even know what undersized means at this point. It's great for all of us. Whoops. But I feel just better about his like defensive game in general than a kid like Sam Girard, where like you don't really know what you're going to get on any given night. But the transition game's there, and you see the offensive upside. It just doesn't pop off as consistency as you play. We can move on.
All right, we're gonna move on.